And today I will be discussing how cheerleading is a sport. Reflecting back on my time as a high school cheerleader, I can think of multiple occasions when the topic of cheerleading not being a sport has come up in conversation. Most people would bring it up just to stir up us cheerleaders and get us defensive, but some people truly meant it when they declared that cheerleading is not a sport. The only rebuttal that we would have is that they don't know because they aren't one. The first thought that anyone has when talking about cheerleaders are the stereotypes that people give them, but no one thinks about the hard work and athleticism that goes into it. As a 5-time All-American cheerleader and captain of my squad, I can truly vouch from experience that cheerleading is hard work. It takes a lot of time and dedication to be a cheerleader. Not only does cheerleading take extensive athletic capability, but cheerleaders also compete against other squads, and competition teams compete against other elite national teams in competition. In the dictionary, the definition of a sport is an activity involving physical exertion and skill in which an individual or team comes together and competes against one another or others for entertainment. So according to what Webster defines as a sport, cheerleading definitely falls under this definition. When it comes to the athletic side, cheerleading involves stunting, jumping, tumbling, dancing, and cheering, and practicing and training. The stunting basically consists of one or more people lifting a person into the air and holding them there for lengthy periods of time. There are different types of stunts. The most common stunt involves 2 bases, a back spot, and a flyer. When this setup, you can do almost anything. You can do extensions, you can do lows, or you can do liberties, or more complex stunts. Another type of stunt is a partner stunt, and it involves 1 base and a flyer, and this 1 base throws the flyer up, and he is pretty much the back spot as well. Now, with any one of these stunts, it takes a lot of strength and practice to stick dangerous tricks like this. Another aspect of cheerleading is jumping. Jumping is when a cheerleader jumps into the air and extends their legs in a uniformed fashion. This doesn't sound hard, but it takes a lot to lift your own weight and make it look uniformed. On my squad, on average, we do about 30 of each type of jump before even starting our practice. That's just our warm-up. Tumbling is another aspect of cheerleading. It isn't required for all high school squads, but if you plan on trying out at the college level or for competition teams or elite gym teams, it is at minimum required that you have a standing back tuck or a round-off back handspring. Dancing and cheering are also aspects of cheerleading that involve extensive athletic capability. When dancing and cheering, cheerleaders don't just make up the routine the first time that they do it. They take a lot of practice, and cardio goes into dancing as well. You have to do a routine maybe 50 plus times before it's actually ready to perform. Cheering as well, you don't just stand out on the sideline when it's time to cheer and just make it up as you go. You have to practice it and make sure that it's perfect before people can actually see it. According to varsity.com, maybe the most important part of cheerleading is the practicing and training that goes into it. Cheerleaders practice every single day after school and during the summer as well. In the weeks leading up to cheer camp, cheerleaders are usually required to practice every single day in order to prepare the routines that they will compete with. They also must train their bodies to stay in shape. You can't just eat cake all the time or not run and do cardio and just expect to be a cheerleader. Another level of criteria that makes cheerleading a sport is that they compete against other teams. At camp is one place that high school squads compete. When we go to camp, you have to prepare your routine and you compete for Camp Champ, which is when you take all the routines that you were given, and at the end of the week you compete against all the other schools that are there on the criteria that everyone has set. So you have a dance, a cheer, and a couple of sideline cheers. There's also a thing called All-American. And All-American is when individuals from other squads all compete with a dance and a cheer that they're given. And if you're good enough, you make All-American. You are extended other opportunities like being in the Macy's Day Parade or going to London and being involved in their competitions that they have there. Another aspect of camp is game day championship. And game day is when they put on like real football situations or basketball situations, and you have to prepare your squad right then and do what you do from home. So like if they make a touchdown, you play your fight song and you dance to it, or you do sideline cheers. Competition teams are a little different than high school teams. They compete against other elite gyms and national teams for national titles, and then they have a thing called Worlds that is put on at Disney World, where competition teams from all over the United States go and perform. They also have a thing called Summit, and that's where teams perform as well. A quote that I found on a cheerleading discussion board stated, "Cheerleading is not a sport. Try lifting someone above your head and keep them sturdy while they twist your body in a pretzel form and smile at the same time. Try throwing a person into the air and watch them spin a couple of times and catch them. Looping your hands together like a basket and throwing them high enough to the sky so they can touch the sky. Getting hit, slapped, kicked, elbowed, kneed, and shake it off because you have to keep going. Break a couple of arms and break a couple of legs and still push yourself to keep going. Stay up late and practice so you can better yourself. Sweat so much because you have been doing tucks and back handsprings and pulls even when you run out of sweat. You have to keep going. Build your strength up until you pass out and get back and do it again. You cry, you bleed, and you get bruises. Tell me cheerleading isn't a sport." Cheerleading takes a lot of behind the scenes and personal work, athletic capability, and competition. Maybe the reason that people don't think cheerleading is a sport is because cheerleaders make it look so easy. Regardless, if you have been persuaded to believe that cheerleading is not a sport, it's up to you. But being a cheerleader doesn't call for recognition. We do it because we love it. If you're a cheerleader and the fact that people don't recognize cheerleading as a sport bothers you, remember this quote: "Cheer as hard as you can and be the best that you can be at what you do. Because remember, if you don't think you're good, there's always a little girl out there that looks up to you and wants to be just like you." Thank you again for